Focus on all things travel this morning. We all dream of that place in the sun. What happens if you actually live as in a place in the sun? Where are you dreaming to go? That's part and parcel of travel, isn't it? You know, we've got wanderlust. We are all constantly looking as to where we shall have our next experience on the road. Is it going to be your holiday home in the south of France? Is it going to be somewhere new? And when that's taken away from you, does that make us just talk the talk a little more than we can walk the walk? How many of us can actually go away for a spring break, a summer break, or otherwise this year? Yep. Airlines, airports, travel industry are doing their bit to encourage enthusiasm. But how many people are following through on that enthusiasm? Let's get some more on this one. Vaccine passports, obviously an integral part of the gaining momentum towards the possibility of travel, with more countries around the world opening up for tourism. Spring break, well, literally around the corner. Let's have a look at outbound travel and see what we are seeing. Vinamra Longani is the head of operations for Sauron & Co. Joins us live on the line. Morning, Vinamra.
Morning, Tom, and thank you for having me on the show.
No, really appreciate your time this morning. Let's take a moment, if we can, just to make a case for vaccine passports. Are they feasible?
Before we do that, for the benefit of our listeners, I'd just like to state that essentially a vaccine passport is a documentation that shows that a traveler has been vaccinated against COVID-19 or recently tested negative for the virus that causes it. And this information is essentially stored on a phone or a mobile device that the user shows to an airline employee or a border official upon arrival. Now, like you rightly said, given how severely the airline and travel industry has been impacted by COVID and the obvious pent-up demand for leisure travel, these vaccine passports, though far from perfect, may really do help jumpstart international travel. Moreover, these may really be the shot in the arm for nations like Mauritius, for example, where revenue from tourism makes up a large portion of their GDP.
I like what you did there, Vinamra. Shot in the arm. Quite right, too. In terms of, if you were to look at it, I mean, you've sort of highlighted some of the pros there. If you were to look at some of the cons, some of the challenges of going down the vaccine passport route for the airline industry, what are they?
Well, there's two really, The first one, which I see is the biggest one, is the lack of mutual recognition between countries. Let's look at the European Union passport, the vaccine passport, which seems to be the one which could come through as soon as the summer vacation season. Now, once implemented, EU citizens would gradually be able to travel safely within the EU. Now, for them to be able to use this to travel abroad, countries like India or the UAE, for that example, or any other nation needs to recognize that vaccine passport issued by the European Union. Now, till the time that happens, it does little for international travel. That being one. The other being vaccine passports do not guarantee that someone is virus-free or safe from infection, because tests and vaccines provide less than total protection. Moreover, someone infected with the virus may test negative earlier on and may test positive after. Also, often someone who has been vaccinated retains a small risk of still being infected. Lastly, and most importantly, medical science doesn't yet know whether vaccinated people can transmit the virus or how long vaccines essentially protect you from the virus. So, these are a couple of things which make these vaccine passport arrangements not so perfect, yet they seem to be the solution which might jumpstart international travel.
Just want to pick up on that point there, because everything you're saying there does spark at one of the big concerns here, which is uncertainty. Is uncertainty what's going to prevent us from travelling, or prevent the majority of people from travelling in the near future?
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. My dear friend, who's also the managing partner for our firm, Nitin, he's actually in Dubai right now. Now, if you were to travel from India to Dubai, you get a test before departure. You land in Dubai. You get a test on arrival. You take the test and you go into a hotel room and wait between 12 to 18 hours for you to get a text message to say if you're negative. If you're negative, that's great. So that's one bit of it. Now imagine to come back to India, you need to take another test in Dubai and upload that for the Indian authorities to see. And when you land back into India, you take another test. If you test positive on any of these, well, God forbid if you were to test positive in Dubai, he'd be stuck there for 14 days. So, and I'm sure he'd absolutely dread that. And imagine if you were to get back home and test positive on arrival, you're sent into quarantine. So, it is arrival quarantine which would possibly scare people from taking trips because of the real uncertainty, like you said.
The other thing as well that we seem to be finding is that vaccine passports are not readily available at the moment. Vaccine, as we know, is being rolled out in various parts of the world, some a lot more efficient than others in terms of administering that particular vaccine. But we are seeing large swathes of the world and, of course, age groups not receiving the vaccine at the moment. So we look at the thing where a vaccine passport would be just for the lucky ones.
Absolutely. I mean, there are huge concerns around this being discriminative, and these are going to be discussed widely in the European Union Parliament. So, I mean, apart from that, there are other concerns like data security and privacy, and how much of your information would you really like on a mobile phone, which can be stolen, or which can be accessed by somebody if they could hack into it. So there are various concerns around this, and like I said, it's a far from perfect solution, but it seems like a solution, at least for in the short term, to give international travel a boost.
Vinamra, always lovely to chat with you. Really appreciate your time at the moment. Do hope that your MD gets back safe and sound from Dubai. If they don't, we'll, of course, we'll look after him, that's for sure. Vinamra Longani is the head of operations at Saran & Co. He joined us live on the line. Talking all things vaccine passports. So the question we're asking you this morning is, well, basically, travelling. Have you got travel plans? Have you changed your travel plans? Is the uncertainty outweighing the possibility at the moment of travel? Much more on this throughout the course of the morning.
Yeah, looking at the list of countries that are open, Tanzania will take you at the moment. Of course, the president passed away, sadly, just a few days ago, but they will take you now. So it's not just the Maldives and the Seychelles. Montenegro would happily have you, as would North Macedonia, two of the few European countries that would have you. All of those within a 5 or 6 hour flight of the UAE at the moment. You're listening to The Business Breakfast.